All right, y'all, we're about to track drums for 8 hours straight. Let's get it done. All right, made it here just a little bit early despite the traffic, y'all. The traffic is out of control again. So first up today, Brenna Bone, and then we're gonna do 2 singles for Dakota Danielle, and then we're tracking an entire EP for Beyond Here. So Lester's playing on the first 3 for me, and then the Beyond Here, the band will be here, and their drummer, we're gonna use Lester's room to do those drums. So let's get it done. Good job.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Yes, sir.
Good job.
Thanks.
See, wait, you didn't do anything. All right, so that's the wrap. Got all the drums done today. Tracked 3 singles for 2 different artists. Lester killed it as usual, and then did the whole EP for Beyond Here. And so it went great. It was a great day. Everything was very productive and ran very smooth. So let's get back to it. My God, it's so beautiful out. Could have been out here all day. All right, everybody. So, back at my place, and now it's time for the reason why you actually clicked on this video, how I edit drums. So let's jump right into it. Here we go. Okay, this is a song called Obsessed by a band called Beyond Here. I'll put links to their socials and their previous music that I produced in the description below. So let's take a listen to what we're working with here. Okay, so what I've done here in tracking is I've actually had a bunch of takes, as you can see right here. Basically, we just play through the song a bunch of times, and sometimes I punch in certain takes, but basically we're gonna find the take from start to finish that is overall the best. I've already chosen it, which is the 4th take that they actually did. So this is our starting point. We're gonna use this, and then the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna group all the drums, and so you can see down here, I've already done it. You're gonna make a group of all the drum tracks, so that way everything that you do to any of them happens to all the drum tracks. This is super important. Every single change that you make has to happen across every track of drums that you have. Okay, so from there we're gonna listen through and choose if there's any spots that I think could be better, any fills that could be cleaner, and we're gonna figure out the spots that we wanna comp from other takes. So step number 1 is grouping the drums. Step number 2 is figuring out where we need to make changes and comp from other takes. So here we go, from the top. Okay, so this is the first spot. I know for sure that I have a fill for that we punched separately that I want to use. So we're going to go over to our different take here of that fill, and let's find where we're going to comp it. Okay, so that one sounds much better. So I'm going to highlight it again. Drums are grouped, so I'm grabbing all the tracks simultaneously. From this case, I'm going to copy, and I'm going to go back to that take, and I'm going to paste, and then we're going to zoom in here. And we're going to drag before that punch and after that punch in. And then we're going to move to slip mode. And then we're going to try to find, we're going to zoom way in here. So this is the part that I'm punching. This is the new fill, and this is the old take. So what I want to do is I want to identify where's a good spot for this transition to happen, this cut to happen. And I like to position it as close to a hit as I possibly can. Okay, something I should mention real quick is that I always want the edit point to be just before a hit, because drums have a resonance. When you hit a drum, it goes bang. And so you want the edit point to have the least chance possible of cutting off the resonance of a drum. And so you always want the edit point to land just before a hit, not after a hit. And then we're going to crossfade this. Command F if you're on Pro Tools, and then let's listen. Perfect. Okay, so now I can't hear that transition, and that's a big key. You want to make sure you can't hear the cut. You absolutely don't want to hear the edit. So let's find where we're going to make the transition on the other one. Let's try it right here and crossfade. That did not work. We need that first part of that fill. So we need it from here, I guess. Okay. So that's where we need to make the transition right there. So again, we're going to get as close to that kick hit as we possibly can, and then we're going to crossfade, and then let's zoom back out and listen in context. So this right here is our new fill, and let's make sure that the whole thing works together seamlessly. Perfect, that sounds great. Can't hear the punches. So now we've comped the drums all together, and I like everything that's happening here. So the next thing I want to do is do whatever pocketing or gridding that I'm going to do on the drums. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to zoom way out, and we're going to highlight all of these drums. And on Pro Tools, we want to consolidate these regions so they're no longer separate regions. So in Pro Tools, it's Shift Option 3. And this is going to consolidate all of our regions. There we go. Now it's all one piece of audio, as you can see. Okay, now there's a couple ways to adjust the timing of drums. The first way is actually cutting hits up. Let me show you how I would do that if I was going to do it. The first way, let's say that I want this kick drum right here. This kick drum is a little early, so the first way, and so is that snare drum. So the first way would be separate these regions, and then you're going to nudge this like that until it's right on, and then you're going to crossfade like you already seen me do. If a drummer is far off, if I have to move hits a good distance, like if the timing is considerably off, I will go through and I will cut everything up like this and manually slide it around, because to me that's the way it sounds best. Now when I'm producing someone, I would normally make them recut the song. If they're far enough off that I need to cut and splice everything up to shift it around, I would make them just recut the song until that's not the case. So that's what's happening here. This drummer is not in any way, shape, or form far enough off that I need to cut and splice and nudge everything around. So the second way is with Beat Detective. I don't particularly love using Beat Detective. The other way that I do it is by using elastic audio. Now this is actually not a widely used technique, but I find that it yields, as long as the drummer was close to being on, it's way faster, and I can't hear a difference. And so as I make the drummer recut it if I need to, but once we get the drummer like pretty damn close, elastic audio works just fine for me. So how I do that is, again, make sure your drums are grouped. Your drums all have to be grouped in order for this to work. So what we're going to do here is we're going to turn elastic on. I like polyphonic. And we're going to see this right here. These are going to start turning color. They get grayed out. And then as they process, any day now, the magic of YouTube, you seeing stuff in real time. That's not exactly how I anticipated it to go. There we go. Okay, then once these all render out and these all go from gray to an actual color here, We got them all. We got one left. There we go. Okay. Then what we're going to do is over here, we're going to choose waveform, and we're going to go to warp. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set an anchor point at the beginning and the end of the song. So as I'm shifting stuff around throughout the song, it's not changing the structure of the song. So I'm going to drop an anchor point right here just by double clicking. I'm going to go to the end of the song and drop an anchor point right there. So that ensures that the start and the end of the song will remain in the same spots regardless of what I do in the middle. And then from there, all I'm going to do is okay, actually, let me take a step back here. At this point, you need to decide what's appropriate for the song and the vibe and the genre and the band. This is a real important key part here. On the least aggressive pocketing timing side of things, I will at least make sure that the start of sections of songs, the downbeat, the one of the chorus or the downbeat of the intro or whatever, I will at least make sure the sections of the song are locked up on the grid. That's the least intrusive editing that I will do, and that is for if the goal is a very, very, very organic sound. The opposite end of that spectrum is a super polished metal band, we'll say, and I will grid every single hit. I will snap them all to the grid. So it's important for you to know exactly what's appropriate for the music and for the part, because you can absolutely ruin a part if you grid it too heavily, if you lock everything up too tightly. So for something like this, what I'll commonly do is I'll at least do the quarter notes. I will lock all the quarter notes up and then kind of just feel it out from there. Is what I'm doing taking away from the vibe of the drummer, or is it just making it sound more polished? I'm always erring on the side of more polished. However, I never want to ruin the vibe of the drummer. So keep that in mind when you're doing this. Okay, so actually the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to align these drums. We got my kick in right there. We're going to put my snare top right up next to it. And then let's grab the 3 toms because I just want all the shells right next to each other so I don't have to be like searching around for stuff. So now I've got kick in, snare top, and my toms. And now everything that I do, again, is going to happen to all of the drums as I'm doing it in real time. And then you make sure that your grid is on over here. You can set your resolution to whatever you want, and you'll see me change this throughout this process. Snare drum right here, I'm literally just going to grab on it and you'll see it snap. As long as this is set to grid, you will see these just snap to place. And basically what I'm doing is I'm just going to snap some of these for a minute, and then I'm going to take a listen and see what it sounds in a bit. Now, if I'm doing an actual metal band, honestly, I've probably got a YouTube video playing on my phone in the background because I'm gridding every single hit no matter what. And this can be kind of time consuming. So I'm just literally going through and snapping. Okay, let's hear what this sounds like now. Okay, so these snare drums, this is a good example right here. Listen to the vibe of these snare hits. And then if we were to grid them, it sounds like this. What is the appropriate thing for the song that you're working on? For this song and this drummer and this situation, I like that better. However, I'm going to approach this on a situation by situation basis, even inside of the same song. Cool. So we're just going to keep going on the quarter notes here. And we're going to go all the way till we get this bad boy done. I don't think you guys actually want to watch me do this, but this is how I edit drums. Let's find one of these fills real quick so that way I can show you that. Okay, so here, that's what it sounds like raw, no pocketing. Okay, so I'm going to first grab both sides of it, the start and the end. Okay, now anytime there is a kick and a snare happening at the exact same time, let me zoom in here. Okay, so this snare, let me zoom in even further so that difference is obvious. So this is the kick, this is the snare, and you can see the snare is just a little bit ahead of the kick. So in these situations, I make a creative call. Is the intent to be urgent and to build intensity, or is it should it be relaxing? So early and sharp build intensity and anticipation, and late and flat are kind of chill and relaxing. So in the context of the song, what is the appropriate goal? In this particular context, the goal is to create anticipation, to create urgency. And so what I would do is I would I would err on the side of early instead of late. So since the kick is behind the snare, I'll grab the kick and snap it to the grid. And then I will zoom way in and grab the snare drum, switch over to slip over here, and grab the snare drum and just nudge it in a little bit like that. And so what this is doing is this is erring on the side of early. Now, if the vibe was supposed to be late, then I would have done the exact opposite. I would have grabbed the earliest part and snapped it to the grid, so that way the other hit is behind and then pulled it up. Let's finish getting this all locked up. I'm going to pretty much grid every hit in this fill because I want this just nice and crisp and super on time. Here's another one. Okay, snare and tom 1. Let's zoom way into this. Okay, so tom 1 is just behind the snare, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to grab the later one and push the snare, which is the tom, and that will push the snare drum early, and then I'm going to pull it back. This creates more urgency. This creates more anticipation, more of a build than it would had I done it the other way around. Let's get that tom hit. Okay, so here's the fill now. Feels good to me. I think that pretty much covers all the ways in which I would approach editing a drum kit. Like I said, if something is super far off, I will cut and slice and move it around. But this is how I prefer to edit. And at the end of this, I can't hear a difference, especially once all the other music is going along. So I will just work through the entire song like this, and then when it's done, it's done. And oftentimes I will not render the tracks at that point. I will leave the Elastic Audio live like this, so I can always go back in and tweak something later if I would like. I'm gonna be doing quite a few videos going over drums and how I mix drums, and this is kind of the first thing, the first step in the drum series of videos that I'm gonna do. So don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell next to subscribe tab so you get notified when I drop new videos. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.